Hello ladies and gentlemen, and what a month it's been for technology. We've had 3 big releases. We've had the GTX 1080, we've had Battlefield 1 released, and we've had the announcement and trailer of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, but nobody really cares about that, let's face it. We've had, what can we say about them? Well, GTX 1080 is impressive to say the least. They say the one GPU card is equivalent of 2 980s in SLI, which is pretty damn impressive. Although from what I've seen so far, it's not quite the case, but it's still impressive nonetheless. Seems that it's just a single GPU. The Battlefield 1 was released, and then at the same time as the Call of Duty, and then suddenly there was this rivalry between them. Who will hit a million first? The million likes for Battlefield or the million dislikes for Call of Duty? Turns out not really. It was sort of a million likes for Battlefield and 2 million dislikes for Call of Duty. Wow, Activision, you've screwed up this time. The only thing I can say that was decent about the Call of Duty launch was the fact that they're releasing Call of Duty 4 at the same time, remastered, but you have to pre-order it. Nobody cares about that. Everyone just wants the remastered versions of Call of Duty and, leave it at that. But Battlefield 1, that's the one I'm excited about. I sat down, I watched the whole reveal trailer, I spent the time, and then they finally released the trailer, and my god did it look good. They're going back to their roots, or I feel they're going right back to the roots, which is brilliant, because I started on Battlefield 1943, and I thought that was a damn good game, and there's still a great following it for it at the moment. And I feel if they've gone back and they've looked and said, right, well, why was this such a good game? Then we're going to get a fantastic new AAA title. For the last 12 AAA titles from every single publisher, it seems to be sending games further and further into space and into the future, and it's becoming less and less immersive and fun, and just becoming about space lasers and that sort of stuff. And let's face it, I don't care about it. You don't care about it. So, it doesn't take a lot for a publisher to mess up. Especially with one of these things, and I'm hoping that EA and DICE would have looked at and gone back and looked at Hardline and thought, right, that was shit. Nobody liked that. Let's go back to a decent game, and that's when they're producing Battlefield 1. Only downside is the blooming names. It's been a fantastic month for technology, but a shit month for naming things. We've got the GTX 1080, which is everyone getting confused with 1080p. We've got Battlefield 1, that's not the first one in the series, and we've got Infinite Warfare, which is being released by Infinity Ward, which is getting too confusing, and I'm going to make a mistake when saying it at some point soon. I understand why they're calling Battlefield 1, they're saying, oh, well, the First World War was the first one of the modern war sort of battles, and therefore Battlefield 1 makes sense. Okay, it's a bit flimsy, but I can sort of see where they're coming from. But if you haven't seen the Battlefield 1 trailer yet, please do. I'm going to put a link into the description. You can go check it out and then come back and see what I have to say about it. Right, first things first, horses. Yes, I love that. I haven't seen anything new for a long time. It's all the same: tanks, aeroplanes, and helicopters, and that sort of stuff. But horses are cool. Who doesn't want to just charge towards an artillery mount? It was on a horse, drop off and hit someone with a spade. I mean, that's brilliant. They're taking melee warfare and they're sort of taking it to the next level. You can pick a spade, or you can take a mace, or you can stab someone with a bayonet. I mean, it's so customizable, and it plays to your strength. And let's face it, hitting someone around the head with a mace is just cool. Tanks. I love tanks. I love tank warfare. It's fun and it's impressive, especially when there's explosions going on. They said in the big release that you'll be able to transport your whole squad in a tank, which is awesome. Something that, this is what tanks were designed for. They were designed to breach the enemy battle or enemy land and sort of go over the trenches and transport large amounts of troops and drop them off and sort of blow people up as you go. And the fact that you can do this, excellent. They have said, though, that the Battlefield 1 isn't going to be historically accurate, so I hope they're going to sort of allow you to put shells and stuff into the tanks that weren't necessarily invented back then and that sort of stuff. Well, What I would like to see though is I want to know is how the tank warfare will differ from Battlefield, or the Battlefield 3 and 4, because if it very much in Battlefield 3 and 4 is sort of one man in a tank, you try and capture these areas and you get blown up very quickly. But if you have a squad there, if you're coming up towards an enemy tank and you have a guy in the back with some sort of grenade launcher or early form of rocket launcher, then they can just jump out and blow them up. So it'd be interesting to see how your teammates start defending you from these early heavy tanks and light transport tanks. My favourite part of all the Battlefield series, especially when I'm playing multiplayer, has to be the aircraft. I like planes. I'm not gonna lie. I like nothing better to jump into the jets on Battlefield 4 and 3 and sort of do strikes from above. And they teased this tiny little bit of aerial warfare in the trailer with the biplanes and the bombers, and as I say, these aren't going to be historically accurate, so I'm really hoping you can do some you can have some insane mods you can put onto this tiny biplane. But the bit they showed in the trailer seemed to have quite a few planes going around and fighting at the same time, which is how it was back then. You did have these little fights, which looks much better than the current system, where if on Battlefield 4 you might have one attack jet and one stealth jet, and that's two planes on each side. Nah, it's not very fun. I want to be in these big chases and dogfights above the battle, and then if you come out victorious, you can then support your ground troops. Planes back then were designed to spot and to for reconnaissance, and were designed to bomb and support the ground. And especially in Battlefield 4, they took away from this. So I really want them to go back to these routes and say, right, we know our planes are going to be there to support our ground troops, which is what I want to be able to do. I want my friends to be saying, hey, we're stuck over here. Can you blow up this tank? Well, and I'll come in and blow them up, and that's sort of fun. Obviously, we can't talk about the air vehicles on Battlefield 1 without talking about Zeppelins. Many people forget that Zeppelins were used by the Germans and they bombed Britain. They weren't particularly effective, especially when we accidentally fired an incendiary round into them and then discovered their one very, very big weakness. But there were towns that were, I wouldn't say devastated, but parts of the buildings were destroyed by Zeppelin bombs. So I think Zeppelins are sort of going to take the place of the helicopters of the other battlefields, especially because we've got planes and we've got the tanks. We need the helicopter sort of thing. So if the Zeppelins are going to be there, it'll be interesting to see what you can do with them. As I say, not going to be realistic, so I'm really hoping you can fit some big guns to the things and sort of strike from above, hovering and very slowly going across the battlefield. That would be really, really cool. Bombers, they're bringing it back as well. If you looked at the trailer, you saw very, very briefly you had a gunner in the back, and then you had that green biplane bomber, which would be cool. It'd be nice if you can do a bit of carpet bombing as well, as I say, just to add to the immersion. They showed off some of the naval warfare as well, which will be really, really awesome. They showed off a battleship. I don't know how any of this is going to work. I'm really hoping you're going to have a good 3 or 4 people on the battleships just to man all the guns, etc. Because if you're going to be you can have any realism to it, it's going to take more than one person to operate these humongous guns and steer the ship. So, and it'll be interesting if you can bombard like the little towns and objectives like they used to do. They used to send over all these shells and destroy the enemy lines before troops would go in. So I'm hoping they sort of put all these aspects of Battlefield 1 together and sort of allow you to coordinate strikes with the air, the ground, and the sea. Just allow your team to beat the other. It'd be also cool to see if they add in other forms of ships, so you can have naval battles going on. If you Battlefield 3 and 4, you only had really those attack boats, and then you had the little transport boats, and you never really had proper sea battles going on. So it'd be really cool if you had like destroyers, and I don't think they'll put in anything like submarines, but destroyers and cruisers and the battleships, and you can have this big sea battle thing going on at the same time where there's a dogfight in the air, and then troops are trying to destroy each other, and tanks going over the trenches, to around you as well. It's all these things I want them to put in so that they improve and they basically build a great game. These are all things that, you know, I want them to put in, so I have a fun. They're saying they're going to transport you to different maps. It'd be nice if they. I want them to put in like the classic World War One fighting places like the Somme, but there, you know, as they say, there were other fights going on in the deserts and stuff. So it'd be interesting to see how they use dynamic, you know, sort of weather fronts and stuff within those places. You know, if you're in the desert, you know, is there going to be a humongous sandstorm? In which case, you know, you can't fly in that anymore. So, you know, they haven't really spoken about the dynamics of it, but, you know, especially on the new generation consoles and the new, as I say, the new graphics cards and stuff that are coming out. All this, you know, technology is going further and further and further, and, you know, it'd be really, really cool if you could have two games that were basically never the same, because, you know, it was all randomly generated. You know, you could jump into the game and immediately be hit by a storm, and then, you know, you could play the same map again and not have one at all, so you just don't know when, you know, bad things are going to happen. If Battlefield 1 is as good as I think it's going to be, and I hope it's going to be, then it's just going to destroy Call of Duty. It's already got 2 million dislikes, and if you've been on Facebook or Twitter, there are all these videos going along of, you know, Call of Duty, you know, Activision game destroyed. But yeah, I think it's a wake-up call for the other developers to say, hey, look, you know, this is what the people want, so we should maybe do it, and, you know, we should maybe listen to them instead of just seeing if we can put more and more and more money out, you know, and try and create these, you know, crappy games every single year. You know, Call of Duty produces a game every year, and they seem to get so much money from it. But that's, you know, they're not producing decent games, and maybe this will be a wake-up call. You know, and this wake-up call is from DICE and EA. You know, I never expected EA to produce a game where they actually listen to the consumers. So, you know, it's surprising for everyone. As I say, if you haven't taken a look at the trailer, please do. Links in the description. And thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.